everyone, and welcome to the third actually webinar of the Future Leaders Fellowship Series. My name is Paul Mândraș. I'm an expert at the Data Resilience Center, and I'm extremely happy to have alongside a very respected, for me at least, professional in the field of military psychology, Colonel Manuela Varlan. Sorry, I'm nervous when I'm with you. And she's from the Romanian Land Forces, Romanian Ministry of National Defense. I'm very grateful for her for taking the time to join us at this webinar series, and I'm also grateful for the Romanian Land Forces for accepting such an invitation. And there are so many things to be said about you, Manuela, but I think that it's better if you introduce yourself to our fellows and our viewers, of course.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Manuela Varlan. I'm a clinical psychologist, and my hobby is in profiling. And I'm glad to meet you.
Okay, so what was the idea of our discussion today is the fact that this series is focused on democratic resilience, which includes disinformation, which includes psychological vulnerabilities, which includes human behavior, targeting, profiling, and a lot of other issues. And our discussion and assessment was that it would be a very good idea to discuss a little bit more in depth about profiling in disinformation. And from this perspective, we actually have a sort of a presentation. I think that it would be helpful for you to, and for us, to have a, let's just say, a structured discussion and not just a simple discussion sharing our experiences. I will share the presentation and continue the discussions on its basis, if you agree. So 1 second. So can everyone see the presentation?
Yes, I can see it. Yes.
So this is the topic. The last webinar we discussed about the concept of security, a little bit going beyond the surface, trying to understand its specific and actually many dimensions. We have discussed about the fact that human behavior is one of the components that actually impact security. And I think that our leaders, human behavior is one of the topic of today's international arena, because these days we have the Davos conference, and many world leaders are there discussing their perspectives on national, regional, and international security. So it is a fact that our behavior, our mind, is affecting security. But I would like to ask Manuela, why? To be more specific.
Yes. In the context of disinformation, profiling refers to the process of creating and using psychological profiles of individuals or groups to manipulate their opinions, emotions, and behaviors. This involves gathering data on people's interests, preferences, and vulnerabilities to craft targeted messages that are designed to deceive or mislead. Think of like creating a psychological map of someone's thoughts and feelings, and then using that map to influence their decisions or actions.
So, do we actually, can we actually make such a map? A psychological map?
Yes.
Okay,
in psychological means the map is not territory.
It's a mind map.
Yes, this is a mind map.
So I would argue that actually we use our mind, but from two perspectives.
Yes. Because disinformation campaigns often use profiling to identify vulnerabilities, understand what makes people think and what they passionate about, and what fears or biases they may have.
Okay, and if we have this map, is it important to know how should I say it, to be aware of it, of our own map, and if so, why?
Because they craft targeted messages.
Okay.
Create content that resonates with the target audience, often using emotional appeals or misleading information.
Okay, so this is what the profilers do. Okay.
Yes.
But what about us? We know our. In my understanding, it's very good to know yourself, your psychological trait for a very specific reason, to understand our mind and to understand our thinking.
Yes. And we use critical thinking.
Okay, critical thinking, that is a very good thing, but it's obvious that we have certain, let's just say, advantages, because some of us are very good at logical thinking, critical thinking, others are very good at emotional thinking and emotional intelligence. As far as I know, there are 6 types of intelligence.
6, 7.
Which one are those?
This is multiple intelligence.
Okay.
Yes. Because the science developed many theories, and emotional intelligence and social intelligence and physical intelligence and
I see. Okay,
more.
When it comes to disinformation, what type of intelligence would you think that would be most significant to have? The social, emotional intelligence.
Yes, emotional intelligence, because they feel each other.
Okay, so it's very good to feel others.
Yes.
So, in our discussion, my understanding was that each of us has a sort of a psychological map with our traits and way of thinking.
Yeah.
And it's very good to know about that map, of course, mind map, as you said, because it helps us in better understanding our decision-making process. And this is directly connected with the concept of security, because security is a state of mind, is a process of action. So I would like you to better explain this type of decision-making process and which are the differences.
And also notice to identify values and convince and perception. This is very important in the map, in the psychological map.
The importance of values, our perceptions.
Yes.
It's very important to know. So, for example, I think that for each of these fellowship participants, the main value is democracy, respect for other people, for their opinions, and so on. So we know that. Okay, so we have this value.
Yes.
What happens?
Because in they manipulate online environments. They identify complex value and perception and targeting the other people.
Okay, but let's discuss about this decision-making process before going to disinformation. So I think that everybody sees our slide. Do you see it? Is there any issues? Okay, perfect. So I know that you mentioned this decision-making signature and its 5 components. Can you discuss about this?
Yes. Based, cautious or impulsive, process, structured or flexible, reliance, independent or dependent, rational, objective or subjective, perspective, pragmatic or idealistic.
That's a lot. That's at least 10 types of decision making. So let's go step by step.
Yes. Based, the question is, are you cautious or impulsive? Are you generally careful and slow to act, or carefree and quick when making decisions? Are you controlled and deliberate, or do you follow your own urge? Cautious. What means cautious? Controlled and deliberate, can be slow to act at times, generally cautious by nature, sensitive to others' opinions, tends to follow the rules, dutiful in meeting obligations.
Would you like to give us an example of a person who is cautious in its decision making from, I don't know, the national or international social arena, or a public figure? Would you know someone who is like cautious?
Yes. I give you an example. Angela Merkel.
Oh, very good example. So would you say that she was the cautious type in decision making?
Yes.
No, very good. And the impulsive one? I have a feeling that I know why everybody is laughing.
Fidel Castro.
Fidel Castro. Okay, exactly. Okay, so this is the first
we
type
don't talk about the leader, actual leader.
Yes, of course not. So this is the first type of decision making. It depends on its pace, if it's a rapid one or a slow and cautious one. The second type?
Process. Are you structured or flexible? Are you adaptable in your approach? Or do you prefer a methodological plan? Do you delay making the decision to look for options, or you deceive by nature?
Okay, so usually I would say that our math teachers are the structured ones in decision making, and this is exactly what teaching or learning math would is supposed to learn us to take it method by method to
Yes.
apply it from a certain perspective.
Yes.
I would say that last year, the last fellowship, the last edition of the fellowship consisted of a decision-making exercise, actually, and we used the platform from the Bucharest International School of Management. And I suppose that this is exactly the dimension we learned in that exercise to make our decision in a practical and structured manner, continuing on, let's just say, specific details, specific arguments, specific questions that had to be met. But what exactly does it mean to be flexible when it comes to decision making?
Flexible means adaptable in approach, unconstrained, open to change. Postpone decisions, looks for options, careless with detail, think global, in global context.
One of the points I'm usually emphasizing when it comes to security is that security it's not only about dealing threats, but it's also about identifying opportunities.
Yes.
So I suppose that this is a dimension we need to focus when it comes to decision making in order to take advantage of opportunities.
I noticed one thing. Many people are not flexible or structured. Or this is in
that was one of the questions. Are these dimensions black and white?
Yeah. Yes. This is gray.
So this is a gray area.
This is a gray area. More gray or less gray, and this is depend in many times on the context.
On the context. Okay.
Because in the context can you can be flexible, or in other context you will be very structured.
Well, I suppose that when this is
important. This is very important context, social context.
When it's about, let's just say, the time we spend at work, we should be very structured and fixed.
Yes.
And when it's about our own free time, we should be very flexible.
Yes.
In doing the things we love.
Yes. And this is a key. Is self control and
self awareness, self evaluation.
Yes.
The way we evaluate ourselves.
Yes. Okay. It is very important.
Okay, so another dimension,
because can be dependent. You don't know many things and lack information, and this is naturally behavior is dependent. Okay, you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I hope that they understand because they are quite quiet.
Okay.
Nobody seems to have questions so far.
Okay.
Kind reminder, if you have questions, just pop up. No hands raised unless necessary, because I don't actually see very good the
This is very an example for three-dimension reliance, independent or dependent. This talk about Medvedev.
Okay.
Medvedev, when he was president.
Okay.
He was dependent on Putin.
That's a fact.
Yes. And when he became prime minister.
Yes, I think so. That after the
Yes, he was very strong and independent.
Like you mentioned, I think it depends on the context, because maybe in the context of being prime minister, you are at large, at base with yourself. In the context of being a president, or at least in that specific case, it was much more restricted. It was much more controlled.
Yes.
His behavior, his environment. Okay, so let's go to the other dimension of our decision making.
Rational. Are you objective or subjective? Do you tend to be task or people focused when deciding? Do you focus on logic and principles or compassion and values? Objective or subjective depend on context.
So it depends on the context. Sometimes when let's just say that we don't cross the street in the right place and the police officer stops us, we try to be subjective.
You can be objective at the job, and subjective at home.
With our families.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Yes.
Okay.
Dimension 5, perspective. Are you pragmatic or idealistic? Do you talk about what is real and actual, or do you prefer discussing big picture possibilities? Do you prefer information by step by step or butterfly mind approach? This is 5 dimension. This is very important for notice motivation.
So it depends on the motivation.
Yes.
So
because pragmatic person elicit the values and the message sent in this context.
Okay. So these are the main 5. I suppose that we have, like you said, it's not gray and it's not black and white. It's gray.
It's gray.
It depends on the context. It depends on a certain degree, because sometimes we can find ourselves in the middle.
Yes.
We discussed different examples so far. So like Angela Merkel, or in specific context, or Dmitry Medvedev or Fidel Castro.
Yes.
So there are different personalities, different decision-making types of fluxes. And now, like I said, 5 dimensions, 10 possible outcomes, but more than 10 in a black and white perspective. Who of the fellows want to describe their his or her decision-making style based on this characteristic? Do you find them useful or not, or who wants to engage? No one?
I think they are useful, and I can imagine how they can be put in practice. But also,
can you repeat?
I said that I think I can see how they can be put in practice while profiling, and I try to do it for myself, and I can see that it cannot be black or white. I am somewhere in the middle with most of them.
Okay, sounds great. But is it all contextual, or do we have a specific tendency that we follow, and we don't actually go around too much around it?
Many factors can involved in make decision.
Okay.
Context and values.
Okay.
And principles. Because entire life put signature in the decision-making style.
Okay. So it's much more complicated than
yes.
than that.
Because a leader evaluated in context, in social context and political context and educational context, in many contexts.
Okay. So there are many lenses that. Yes, Johnjo.
So a question I had that when you're conducting this profiling or identification of decision making, how can you ensure consistency between different people? Is it purely qualitative, or do you have quantitative approaches? So I don't know a lot about this topic.
This is not a model of conducting profiling. The discussion is about, let us say, from a psychological perspective, the fact that we have different types of and dimensions of making decision, and now we are discussing how to better understand ourselves.
Sure, but when it comes to operationalizing it, okay, okay, sure.
Yes, I understand the question, but I think that it depends on each structure. We are not exactly discussing now how we operationalize this concept. It's just about discussing the framework and understanding, better understanding our decision process. Okay. So, the context. You mentioned values. You mentioned our self-confidence, self-awareness. What about the risk?
The risk, this is important and is in linkage with power.
What do you mean?
When a person wants more power, and he or she risk.
So if I want to become the head of the Romanian army, I need to take some risks. Yes or
no?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Okay. So what exactly why do we have to know that? You mentioned our self-consciousness, self-awareness.
Yes.
We need to know that there are these different types of factors that influence the decision making. Okay, and if we know or we try to understand ourselves, how does it help us?
Yes. One is important thing: build balanced teams. Adapt your communication, manage your biases, and clarify high-stakes decisions.
So it's important to to understand that when it comes to high-stake decisions, like going to vote, for example.
Yes.
Because for some it may be an important decision, or changing our job, or finding our career, or the next fellowship we want to attend. It's very good to have a structured decision-making process.
Yes.
Okay. So the topic of the webinar is to better understand disinformation, and for that, as we discussed, you mentioned that it's very good to first of all to know the process of making decisions and how it affects security, and after that we discussed about disinformation from two perspectives. So you mentioned there are two perspectives of disinformation. Which are those?
Target vulnerabilities, or identify hostile mechanics and defense.
So it's because at first when you mentioned profiling, I was actually thinking of identifying those who spread this information, but you just clarified me. They also do the same with us.
Yes.
So the hostile actors do the same with they target and they profile the population.
Yes.
Okay, and they do that by identifying our psychology, and this is why it is very important to know aspects of psychology. Okay, let's go a little bit in depth.
Psychology of misinformation, uncertainty, lack of control, emotions, anxiety, relationship enhancement, and rank.
It's about the emotion, it's about the context,
Yes.
It's about the group we are part of. It's about our rank, because I suppose it's a difference if we are head of states or mayors of a significant city, or just regular people working in.
An example. This is Lukashenko.
Okay.
When he became president, he spread bad information about contracandidat.
Its opponents. Its political opponents.
Yes, and spread bad information and manipulate the people. And people considered Belarus, the people considered the bad person and the corruption, and Lukashenko won
but I suppose that actually this is, I think it's a very good question. It's a fact, or there are examples at least. You mentioned Lukashenko. I'm also thinking of other political figures, that even national political figures spread misinformation or disinformation about their opponents. Is this a hostile act, or how do we interpret it?
Not hostile, or it is the want to obtain power.
Yes, that's obvious, but it's like the same. Even let's just say Russian or any other type of disinformation has the same objective. to gain power over the population. And the leaders have the same thing. But is there any difference between this type of misinformation, or is it just like the same and we have just to take it for as it is?
Misinformation.
Misinformation.
Yes.
So it's not exactly a good thing.
Yes.
To lie as a political
yes.
opponent. What do you think? Hey guys, we are trying to make you engage, but Aurelian, any opinions you want to share?
If you have a specific question, I'm happy to answer it, but I don't have anything more particular to add to the conversation right now.
Okay, but what do you think about this difference? A political leader spreading misinformation versus a hostile foreign actor spreading misinformation. Is there any difference? How should we treat the two parties?
Yes, I think in a specific shape, way, or form, they are both really dangerous because they are promoting pieces of information that are not facts. So basically, both actors are trying to fulfill or achieve their own particular goals, but in the end, they harm the population by spreading information that in the end might result in death or accidents or phenomena that can disrupt economies and things like that. But of course, there's a huge difference in the sense that a political leader usually does engages in this type of behavior in order to gain access to power, but they still have a certain regard to the well-being of the population in the end, of course. But a foreign actor will not have that type of regard, and they will aim to subvert the democratic regime, let's say. And of course, if you have to compare them, the actions and the endeavors of a foreign actor will be more pernicious to the society overall. I think that's the main difference. But in terms of democratic resilience, I think no matter who's spreading misinformation or disinformation, we should have institutions, agencies, and mechanisms in order to stop the spread of both misinformation and disinformation.
Thank you. Very good perspective. Indeed. So when it comes to profiling and targeting misinformation, Manuela, you mentioned about the model to analyze this spread of this psychological evaluation. And let's discuss a little bit about this model.
This model Big Five.
Okay.
This is 𝐿SHAN model. 𝐿SHAN is acronym, openness, cognitive and behavior risk factors, consciousness, self-regulation and reliability, extraversion, social exposure and influence, agreeableness, trust and compliance, and neuroticism, emotional reactivity and stress.
Somehow this seems similar to the decision-making framework.
Yes.
Okay, so let's discuss each component. What exactly does it mean?
Openness, curiosity, experimentation, exposure. Exposure is limits this openness. Openness is very good. A person who is openness is very social, is communicative, and is good for the person. But this exposure is dark side.
But if we are curious, why should we be susceptible to disinformation? I mean, we are curious, we look for different sources, we are informed.
Yeah.
Are we, let's just say, a target of disinformation?
Depend or the risk scale.
Okay.
He or she can low openness or high openness, and when they are high, is not good.
Why?
Because is a little bit
Balance.
unbalanced.
Okay.
Yes.
And what does unbalance in what perspective?
In perspective, because he improve in more activity, in more actions, and more information, and create cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand. Do you know what cognitive dissonance means? Guys, have we lost you? Does anyone know? No one knows? Should I understand? So what does it mean, cognitive?
Is it like refusal to accept the truth or a certain way of thinking or something?
What does cognitive dissonance mean?
Oh.
Apparently, we have an issue here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so it's an overload of information, and you stick to your beliefs.
Yes.
So even if
you don't know why is true or false or not.
I'm just curious because I read that, for example, there are many polls or surveys or psychological evaluations that are done not only in the military but
Yes.
to the general population as well. Are there tests that indicate this type of how should I say it, of characteristics? I mean, if I come to you and you give me a psychological test, can you see if I'm open or closed, if I'm curious or not?
Yes, in NOPR. This is item in NOPR openness.
Okay. This is NOPR. What is that?
This is a psychological test.
Okay. So that's very easy to be evaluated.
Yes.
Okay. The next characteristic, consciousness.
Consciousness. The paradox of protocol. Yes. Consciousness influences vulnerabilities through self-regulation, role adherence, and task discipline. The person who don't have consciousness, this is very vulnerable for information.
Okay, and which is exactly the mechanism that lays behind? You don't respect rules, or you don't. It's about is it the connection with the trust to institutions and to the authorities, or?
No, this is about self-regulation. This is.
So he lacks awareness from his perspective to his social role, if I can say, his family role, his professional role. So he lacks this part of adhering to rules.
Yes.
And he's sort of a Don Quixote.
Yeah.
Okay. Extraversion. Introversion.
Yes.
I think they are one of the most common terms how do they connect with this information?
A person who is extravert, this is very social.
Okay.
And this is superficial because the entire energy spread outside and not use filter for information. Extraversion like a pelican, like okay, and
so basically, he's an information consumer that has no filters.
No filters. Yes.
Okay, so everything you tell him,
yes,
he believes it, and it's true, and there is no need to verify.
And the first aim is more relation.
Okay.
Not quality and
quantity of his social relations.
Yes.
Okay, but do we consider, or does psychology consider this online scrolling and commenting and social accounts? Do they consider its social relations, social engagement?
In the context, yes.
So it is basically there's no, from psychology difference.
Yes.
There is no difference from social engaging in online or offline.
Because a person who target this type of person, extravert,
okay.
They read online very good, and the person notice many many friends, many pictures with the family, with the friends, with work and jobs and other, and is very easy for profiling.
Okay, and you as a specialist, what would you recommend us to do to try to control our exposure, social media exposure, or through pictures or videos, or
yes,
or limit it?
Limited and stay gray.
Stay gray.
Stay gray.
What do you understand by staying gray?
Stay gray, not very emphatic.
Okay.
And very low profile is not good.
Okay, so targeting when it comes to openness and extroversion, actually the profilers, the hostile actors seek the extremes.
Yes.
So those who do overexposure.
Yes.
So those who post like 5 times a day, and even though they are not influencers, and you know exactly each minute of the day where they are having breakfast or whatever, and those that are extremely hidden, that post nothing. And for each type of profile, there is a specific messaging.
Yes.
That is something interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, let's go that. Let's go further.
Agreeableness is elevated compliance, a natural tendency toward trust and cooperation, reduced skepticism, lower barrier to believing malicious internet, refusal difficulty, psychological difficulty in refusing requests. Agreeableness contributes to vulnerabilities through heightened cooperation, particularly in authority-based or empathy-based influence context.
So basically, it's the yes mans or the Grinches as
Yes,
two
yes,
opposing
yes,
profiles.
yes, depend on context.
As a general
Yes,
trait, of
yes,
course,
yes,
everything
yes.
depends on the context, but
Yes.
as a general evaluation. So this is not a characteristic. And how does it work if you are too agreeable? Why are you susceptible to disinformation? In a political context, like you said, it depends on the values. So, for example, if I am a nationalist, okay, I consider myself a nationalist, and I think that my country is the best in the world, and we have messages from mass media or influencers or political figures that come with message that enhance, make stronger my opinions. So I have no critical thinking about it, and I am subject to disinformation. Any news that says that my country is the best or something that happened in the country is unique and it's the same perspective, it's a possible way of doing disinformation. Okay, so basically, you mentioned the traits we discussed previous about the what affects the psychology of disinformation. The fact that it depends which is our position within a group. If we are at the bottom, or if we are on the middle, or if we are one of the leaders, and usually people following the leaders and their perspectives, and in the case of this agreeableness characteristic, if the leader says yes, we tend to believe that it is a yes, or if the leader says it's a no, we tend to believe that it is a no. Well, actually, this explains a lot. I would say. I would say that this explains even the disinformation, conscious or unconscious disinformation actions taken by not only by political leaders but also by journalists or even by influencers.
Yes.
So this is how you explain it. The spread of maybe false information from this influencer perspective. Okay, so it's like identifying with the influencer, liking his opinions and accepting them without critically thinking, without verifying what exactly he's saying, and because we want to to be part of, let's just say, of a group, to accept his opinion because he is popular.
Yes.
If one of the popular influencers or journalists or whatever has a certain opinion, we tend not to verify it and just take it for granted, and this gives us a false sense of belonging and social validation.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. It's pretty complicated.
Yes. Stress reactivity and decision neuroticism. Neuroticism. Emotional reactivity. Intense responses under stress. Anxiety driven decisions. High pressure. Usually, neuroticism amplifies stress responses, which can impair judgment and increase reactive behaviors. In this case, does exist two types of behaviors. Behaviors with impulsive, and people tends to immediately reaction or people with anxiety and stay away from this situation.
Okay, so it's about taking your time. If we take our time to react or not, or if we tend to react immediately, or just slip over it and ask a friend if it's true or not.
And they feel fear and stay away from the situation.
Yeah, okay, so it's not just about one characteristic. It's all. It's like similar with the decision-making process. Combination.
Yes.
But what combination makes the most susceptible profile to disinformation?
Extrovert, openness in high scale. Extrovert in high scale.
So he's a very sociable person. He needs many social connection and validation.
Agreeableness.
He's open to new information.
Yes.
And he tends to seek more information.
Yes.
Okay. And
agreeableness high.
Okay, so he also seeks social validation and to agree with his idols or persons of
consciousness low.
Consciousness low, so he's not exactly how should I say respecting the rules. He's not exactly
and not self-respect.
Okay, so a lack of self-awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
And pressure under stress high.
Okay.
Because the behavior is disrupted.
Okay. Can we do something about such a personality?
Tolerance, stress low.
Okay. So he's not exactly.
High neuroticism means tolerance for the stress low.
Okay, I see. Not a very great profile. We also mentioned that it's not only about our internal decision making, but also our social relations that influence us. You discussed about openness and gave many discussions about this. But is there any other traits, or what traits do impact the spread of disinformation from this social relations perspective? So it depends on the motivation of the targetee, the person that are target. But there are different. We discussed about this blueprint and the social values and the way the individual connect with its community of belonging. And there are different traits. For example, and these all impact disinformation. If the person is individual, so its degree of autonomy is pretty high, or its openness it's pretty low, as we discussed in the model. Is he or his community more or less impacted by disinformation?
This is complicated because the many society are own values, principles, and rules, and this particular particularity for each society.
Okay, but let's have an example.
I think about hippie community.
Okay, very great.
This is a protest. They appear as protest for protest against formal society.
So they are against the rules and
Yes.
the boring society
Yes.
we have with
Yes.
clothes.
Yes. Yes. And they create other world, and they are free. They are
open to experimentation.
Open to experimentation, and they considered happy and free.
Okay.
They have own rules and own principles and the specific behavior and routines.
And how do we target this type of community? What type of messages should we use, for example, to?
They provide love, not war, and they live free.
So saying that messages like EU is financing the war in Ukraine and this affects your liberty and your way of life should be it's an example of a message that has impact in such communities.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I recently listened to a podcast in which there was an explanation about to identify someone lying or spreading misinformation is also to see that there is a difference between what they are doing, like physically, like their physical language, with their verbal language. And I was curious, like, do you think there are like some signs in which we can be cautious or we can like pay attention to, like language sign maybe also?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, so I was curious, like when someone, let's say, says a lie or spreads misinformation, they can do something like in a video or even when holding a public speech that is creates a difference with their physical language, let's say, comparative to what they are actually saying, and that can like tell us that they are like lying or that information is not correct. And I was curious if you can like give us like some hints or like some specific, not necessarily like examples or just like this of context in which we can pay attention more.
It is about nonverbal communication, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Nonverbal communication
is a degree of similitude between verbal behavior, what we say, and how we non-verbally react. Okay, so when we usually those who work in profiling analyze both the types of communication, verbal and non-verbal communication. Okay, so if we want to identify a liar, we need to go and analyze the non-verbal communication and behavior. Okay, and
we have two hemispheres: the cerebral hemispheres.
Okay,
Yes.
so our brains has two parts.
One hemisphere responds to emotional response. This is a right hemisphere, and the left hemisphere is response for rational reactions.
Okay.
When a person lie, the right hemisphere control left side of body, and asymmetry appear on left side body.
Okay, so this is because this is what we started the webinar with. This is an example of a project that one of the teams can engage in to find video from YouTube from professional liars or certified liars, people from with all background that are known to have lied in their perspective, and have a mashup with them and discuss non-verbal communication and what exactly they do, and hint it up and have a sort of a lesson learned on this perspective. So what do you think as an idea? Nobody wants to do it. If you have a certain degree of experience, it's obvious that you can self-control and do that. But we are discussing about. But okay, so even for those who can really self-control really good, are there mechanisms to realize, or I mean, mechanism available to regular people, not exactly to specialists? Because I know that, for example, nowadays there are video AI editing tools that can do, let's just say, AI profiling and analyze with specialized equipments and software your disproportionate or different other types of. So it's not exactly possible to identify if Putin is lying in a speech or not. Oh, okay, so there is a great emotional discomfort, and we tend to, let's just say, occupy less space, try to not be expansive, not. But anyway, I suppose that the hostile actors know these traits very, very good. Like you mentioned, they are really trained. Do you think that there are specific training camps for learning how to lie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the answer is yes. At least the literature, the research says that there are three types of hostile actors. That, of course, most commonly they are the state-sponsored hostile actors that spread disinformation. And it's not only about the online trolls and bots, it's also about the people that are connected with hostile actors. This information is also spread by let's just say, villains that are trying to benefit financially from those type of disinformation. And I'm usually thinking of there was an example in Romanian history, 𝐼𝐶, if you remember.
𝐼𝐶.
And there were people at the time that spread this information saying that 𝐼𝐶 is a very strong financial arrangement, and that you must invest there. And they convinced many, many people to invest, and there was a huge loss of money. And not lastly, the ideology hostile actors, those that have a specific belief and push it in front of the public and try to spread it with false narratives and false arguments. Is there anything?
Example, Călin Georgescu.
Okay, so the �Călin Georgescu example, at least in Romania, the discussion about communism and fascism and even let's just say between the two world wars period, social movements, it's quite significant these days. Is there something you would like to share from that perspective? I mean, what exactly do they want? Why is this appeal to our memory, and how does it work? I mean, we have many narratives, like the life was much better and much simpler in communism. The communism was good, and there are many young people that actually believe this. What would you comment on this? So the society was, at least in appearance, extremely unified.
Yes.
People usually had the same properties. Well, actually, they didn't have properties. The same living condition, the same car, the same type of car. They went to the same types of restaurants. There was not the diversity we have today.
Yes.
You're saying that in that type of communist society, when the social difference between people was quite low and there was a sort of homogeneity, social homogeneity, people were feeling much more comfortable. And this is let's just say enhances disinformation.
Yes.
Because it's much more difficult to be in a more competitive society, at least from a mental perspective. I suppose this is the same thing. At least reading the media, there are many stories from Belarus, from Russia, or any other authority state that impose authority, and the state own the security structures. So there is this type of fear against these structures. Okay, this is the question. I think this is the paradox. Why people would, knowing that that was a reality, or have they forgotten it? So it's also a type of discussion on the type of society, because I know very clear that there are two main types of societies: those that are open to competition, that they are individualistic societies, and societies that are, let's just say, more collective, that people usually tend to depend more on the authority. And depending on that, there is a sort of psychological trait or psychological pressure. So it's a little bit difficult to be in an open, free, even democratic society, because your life is your choice mainly. Yes. Because the way the opportunities are not truly different. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you earn if you want to be able to join a university or something like that. And it's simpler in strict control societies, because these are the rules. There are not very many options, and even though it affects your liberty from a psychological perspective, it's more calm. It's more easy to live. Okay, so
I have a question.
Sure.
I have so I was wondering, how can we approach those people that believe that maybe it was better in the past during the communism era without further alienating them, because they seem to be very attached to this feeling and to this opinion?
I would not ask Manuela to answer the question now because we actually have a sort of a surprise from this perspective. So this is the framework, one of the frameworks, this is information. We have to understand that this information is, or profiling in this information has two components. The component of the defender, profiling the target audience, profiling our own societies and understanding not only ourselves, which are our main psychological components, traits, but also of the society we are living in, and at the same time profiling the hostile actors, knowing who they are, how they act, and how they react, to better counter them. There are different case studies in literature about disinformation, what they are looking for. The Russian disinformation is usually one of the most studied type of mechanism, disinformation mechanism. But, and this is why I was telling you, Roxana, to wait. We had a sort of fun. We took this disinformation assessment model, and we also took, I suppose that everybody has heard of Daniel David's research and book, Psychologia Poporului Român, Romanian People Psychology. Have you heard it?
Yes.
Well, at least the Romanian fellow. Briefly, this is the second psychological evaluation of the Romanian people. The first one was conducted by 𝐿𝐻𝐿
Da.
Eugen.
𝐿𝐻𝐿 sau nu? 𝐿𝐻𝐿 sigur.
Okay, but that was at the beginning of the century, and that was, this is what I retained, that it's a very specific difference, because 𝐿𝐻𝐿's evaluation was a prospective one. He just walked around Romania and the villages. He interviewed the regular people, and this is how he gained his perspective. But Mr. David's evaluation is based on psychological testing with actually strict psychological and scientific 21st century rules. Okay, so we have asked Claude Opus from Anthropic model to do that assessment. We gave him the ocean assessment and Romanian people psychology, and this is what he came up. I think it's a very good for discussion, and I think that now everybody can be part of the discussion and just take it step by step. So what exactly does the model say? And this is just for the purpose of the discussion. Roxana, maybe we can find an answer to your question. How do we fight nostalgia, at least in this communist part of Euro-Atlantic area? So the model says that neuroticism is at high level of Romania. What does this mean? We are more impulsive than we should be. Being more calm would certainly help us.
More stress.
And stressed, more stress.
More stress.
Where do you think that this stress comes from? I mean, at least from economic perspective, the GDP, the incomes have increased in the last...
And the pressure.
Sorry?
And depressive.
we are depressive. Okay, where does it come from? Is there any specific reason, or this is just the way we are?
Lack of hope.
The lack of hope.
Lack of hope. Lack of hope and economic conditions very low, and political.
This is what I was asking because, for example, I saw a post on Facebook or something. I'm not exactly who, I don't remember who was it. And you discussed about Georgescu, for example, and we all know what happened. He popped up from nowhere and just conducted his political campaign. But the research I'm telling you about, it's not scientific, but it was a personal research. He analyzed more than, as far as I remember, he analyzed more than 500 profiles spreading information or misinformation or disinformation regarding this political person, the political figure, and his conclusion was that actually the majority of these real person sharing this type of information are part of, let's just say, middle upper class in small communities, so they are not exactly low income persons. And this kind of contradicts the theory. What happens? I would say that maybe it's about their agreeableness degree. Not only, and self confidence, or how should I say, they want to belong, they want to actually feel to be leaders of the communities they are part of. They know that they lag behind, and based on this information can be a booster. It's like telling you, okay, you are actually a world, how should I say it? Your value is the same. You are very valuable psychologist, and you can go at any world conference psychology discussion and present your findings, even though you know that your English it's not exactly at the best level at this moment, and you know that this is not possible. But if I'm just telling you this, and at the same time sharing with you this information, you can become not only a target, but a spreader of those type of disinformation.
Yes.
Okay, so I understand that basically targeting people with disinformation, presenting a person as not being part of the system, so it's that neurotic and agreeableness and extroversion and cautiousness and openness and the relation to power, the relation to rules. Okay, as a disinformation type and typology, what worked in Romania was the fact that people, the profiling was focused on the Romanians, and not only Romanians, but mostly Romanians working outside of Romania. And this is from the abroad to inside Romania. This is how the promotion of this type of political figure worked. Okay, so it was a vice versa disinformation perspective. Nicoleta, please.
Yes, in this context, I wanted to ask, did the wave came reversed because the typical diaspora Romanian person, it's exactly the one that would hit all those points that you said before about it's more neurotic maybe than the Romanian inside. It's more extrovert, and I feel these people, mostly from what I saw also on social media and in the last years, many of the diaspora Romanian, they live between two worlds, and that's why it's really hard for them to adapt in the new country. But at the same time, looking back at Romania, they need to have this strong Romania, and this kind of narratives, they come perfectly on what they actually need for their emotional, I don't know, citizen side.
Okay. Yeah, it's well, it's a very complex subject. As you see, there are many possibilities for each trait to be combined. But I think that you actually got the main idea. Nicoleta, what do you actually say? Okay, let's just take, so this is the perspective of a large language model. We don't actually know exactly how it's resonating capacity, how he calculated this course. It's not even important. If you are to assess Romania, how exactly would you say on each type? Which would your scores be?
Sorry, are you asking me or in general?
No,
I can answer. Okay, I feel it's very hard to assess without real data, because there are so many types of Romania. Like what's happening, like we just said, in diaspora, but what's happening here is different. What's happening in rural areas is in small towns is very different than the mentality that it's in the largest cities with and it comes from many aspects behind that, from economical perspective, for the information or education they are up to. So I would really say that it will be very different if I'm comparing an educated person from Bucharest with a high social economical status with a person, let's say, with 4 or 8 classes that's working, I don't know, a job somewhere in a factory or in agricultural field somewhere in Italy, let's say. So I think we need a lot of data to actually make a average.
No, I'm just asking your opinion. It's not a scientific debate we are doing here. It's just about what would you assess from your perspective the Romanian people on each of these characteristics. And if you actually understand, and I'm convinced that you understand how it works.
Okay. I would think from the neuroticism perspective, we can go on the higher side, maybe not exactly like this, but especially if we take in consideration the election we just spoke about, what happened recently, many people went with impulse when making political decisions. Also, I don't know, I'm not really sure about the agreeableness, because right now we are quite polarized.
Think about you. How agreeable are you? From a social perspective?
Well, I think I am. So if I use my particular case, then yes, why not? Extraversion again. If I speak about myself, I'm as an adult. I think I'm quite an ambivert, but I was really an introvert before. So I don't know how really this works from a social perspective. Maybe we are more extroverts than introverts, because we like to speak a lot, even before we think, as a society. Consciousness maybe on the lower side. I don't think that, again, besides certain points on the map, people are actually know everything that is to know about who they are, what citizenship means, what political or economical background they are in, exactly.
Okay.
And from an openness level, I don't know, maybe in the middle, because I don't think we are really resistant to novelty, but now if novelty comes as the disinformation, I think it changes the story a bit. So I don't know, maybe somewhere in between, from my point of view.
So no hidden truth for you. Just old knowledge. Do you have a question? Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Silvana, I would actually also like to ask you to make an personal assessment of United States using this scale. How exactly would you assess United States?
In recent years, or I guess just in terms of recent years?
Just a general perspective. I don't want to go into specific details. Just how would you say the United States, the American people are generally in perspective of these five vectors?
Well, I would say the American people and the American government, that'd be two different answers right now. There's kind of a lot of dissent with decisions the government's been making. But I guess in terms of just overall globally public facing, I'd say the agreeableness and openness is lower than average. There has been some, I guess, positives like tariff deals with different supply chains in tech, for instance, but I would say for right now it's lower than it has historically been. And I do think the conscientiousness is also, of the long-term impacts, has also been a bit down than maybe it has historically been, personally. And I do think within the American people there is a more susceptibility to the fear-based manipulation that's been discussed in this call as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So I think that you all got the point. I think it's time to actually stop now, because it was quite a complete and interesting discussion, at least in my perspective. Do you have any questions? Alexia, do you have any question? Anna, Aurelian?
I don't have any question. Oh, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I don't have any questions, but I would love to get access to the PPT presentation, to the PowerPoint presentation, or the PDF presentation, if it's possible, of course.
There is an account. It operates in euro and US dollars.
I can pay if that's the case. No problem.
Yes, of course, you'll have access to the presentation if you agree, Manuela. The presentation is more complete, but I think that the time is very great to stop here. Nicoleta, please.
I have a small question. For example, what we did today, the information we gather, and for example, seeing who's more vulnerable to disinformation. I think, let's say we spoke about the Russian earlier. This is something that the Russian would do, so they know who will be the greatest impact of certain information, and in order to be disruptive. But for example, how do we reverse engineer this? How can we counteract this information with all this information, with all the things that we spoke about today? If we know who are the vulnerable people or the vulnerable groups of people, how?
I think that this is a very good question for the next webinar. As discussed, we have the teacher from we have Flavia. She also came at the forum, and she is much more equipped with specific and concrete data on how to counter disinformation. Today's discussion, the role of the discussion was just to have this psychology perspective on how it affects disinformation. And get awareness, and now I think that we are all aware that our psychology, our decision-making style, our group and community of belonging, they all, as a whole, impact not only our ability to discern or promote actually disinformation, but even our society's disinformation, let's just say handbook or characteristics. Is it okay? Is it a convenient answer for you? Any other questions?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Well, if you don't have any other questions, I hope this was enjoyable for you. Manuela, thank you so much for the discussion. I know it was sometimes a little bit difficult to express in English if you are not accustomed to do so.
Yes.
But thank you for the effort and for coming here at European Resilience Center and doing these webinars. And for the fellows, thank you so much for attending. Once again, I hope it was interesting for you, and see you next week at the next webinar. So, bye.
Evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you soon. Enjoy.